making this video for anyone that has a Bombardier SW48HY. My serial number on my machine is, the last three are 054. It's one of the earlier models. So if you have a reduced track speed, there's a couple things that you need to do. The first thing is you need to look at down in here, take this panel or just pull this one and look, and you can see the lights in your computer. What you're looking for with no error codes is two greens and a blinking yellow. If it's blinking yellow, it means it's running properly and everything's working okay, and you don't have any error codes. That means all your devices are working. If you have lights blinking, it's in the manual, but basically there's two intervals for both the red and the yellow. There's a really, really long pause with it illuminated, and then there's shorter ones than that. And what I recommend you do is start a video and watch the error codes go through the cycle, and it may take minutes, like 10 minutes to do, like, I think it takes about 10 minutes to do just two. So you'll want to try to do that and just record it, and then when the lights blink like crazy, I call it a disco, that's the end of the cycle, and then they just keep repeating over and over again. So if your track speed is reduced for random reasons, mine was, the first thing you want to do is you want to check your speed potentiometer. Forward this way is full open, meaning max speed when you push on the throttle. This way back is reduced speed, so basically it limits how fast you could go. So you want to have that full open. And also, this thing doesn't want to spin freely, and it's very fragile, so you don't, when you open this panel up, don't hit this thing. Be gentle and take your time. But if this is working with full open, the next thing you want to do is you want to check your brake over here. I did some work to mine. The sensor will warn you, the sensor is no longer made. There's none available. The company makes a replacement, but it's not spec'd out, and I tried putting one in and it like smoked it. It like actually was smoking. So I think I might try like a different pinout for it. But if you have, there's a brake sensor. One thing to check, this was the problem in mine, is that calibration. The only way I was able to tell that mine was out of calibration, the computer was giving me an error, but without plugging a computer into the machine, you couldn't tell that there was an error. And what mine was basically this pedal was resting in this position right here, which is on, like, oh, see, it's not doing it now. Actually, hold on, you can see it. See the brake light? Just that little bit. But when you take this thing and it's activated, because it has a contact switch inside of it, and then it has a potentiometer, positive, negative, and a signal out. That's all it is. The new ones just have potentiometer in, potentiometer out, and there's no contact switch, so that's why it gets screwed up. Just that little bit, and what was happening was this thing was out of tolerance. So it was so far back, and it was rolled just enough that 0 all the way back, minimal setting to recalibrate, it was reading no voltage to the computer. So when I was trying to calibrate it, it wasn't even getting a signal. Then I was pushing on it and it was seeing it, but they were considering that the minimum value, and basically I wouldn't know that. So highly recommend that you get a laptop, and there's a cable in here, plug it into your laptop, and then you're going to need a piece of software from Danfoss called WebGPI. It's free. You have to contact them, and they'll send you a link, and you can download it. And then you're going to need a file for your machine. Now, my file on my machine to get into it was SW48HY. That was the file I needed. And then once you open it up in WebGPI and, like, you know, it's a zip file, expand it, then it goes, it allows you to, like, see the engine potentiometer, the TPS, the RPMs, what the sensors are, if your steering is off. Like, if look at this is like a little bit of dead space. It's not hitting anything, but if I go like this a little bit, That's how sensitive. It will read that. So you can actually recalibrate settings for this if they're wrong. And that's how I figured out what was wrong with this. It basically showed me the no voltage, and I realized there was a dead space in it. So once I fixed that and adjusted the pedal, this thing was problem solved. So if you're having half track speeds, that's some things to consider. The other thing that you need to look at is the TPS. This right here. This is TPS. It's tied into this linkage right here. Okay. These are really expensive. They're like $1,900 from Prinoth, your local dealer. You can get them cheaper. You can get them for like $1,000 at a facility in New Jersey. They're not cheap. It's a Hall effect sensor. But also, the software will tell you if this is bad. So rather than going around and trying to like replace parts, you can just plug it in and it will tell you, this is working properly. Let me just prop up my hood so it doesn't hit me in the face. So funny thing is that this is not a regular throttle position sensor. This actually starts at, instead of having like 0.5 volt to 4.5 or 5.5, this one starts at like 1.27, usually 1.3. Right now mine's at 1.3. And it'll vary a little bit because if you have any experience with Hall effect sensors, it'll vary. But this thing it has like a very short range. So minimum value is right here. I put it right here. This is the minimum value. And this is the full open. Mine's like at like 363, I think. Something like that. I just wrote stuff down here so I wouldn't lose the information. But if you're having like tracking issues, this is another thing to check. But again, recommend that you get the computer software, get your file from Prinoth, because they got bought out, Bombardier, Camoplast, and get that file and hook your computer up, and you can see practically everything going on the machine. It's indispensable. It's wicked good software. Yeah, other than that, that's the update. So if you're having track speeds with a Bombardier, highly recommend you get a computer hookup, plug it in. You should have one anyway. The newer ones, this one didn't come with one, but the new one has a screen that goes right on that little end right there. I mean, you can buy one. They're like $2,400, $2,600, and you got to buy a $267 connector, and then all the stuff that you would do with the computer, like the diagnostics and everything, you can see in the screen. You can just do it with the screen, which eventually I will get, but I don't have that kind of money sitting around. Obviously, I get it vested in my machines. So I highly recommend that if you own, even if you own a trackless, if you have one of these machines, recommend you get the software and hook it up, because it was like 10 minutes. As soon as I was able to figure it out, I had this thing running full tilt. It was like it never happened. So shout out to Stefan at Prinoth. He hooked me up. He definitely helped me. It was a long process. With the holiday break, it made it even longer, but appreciate him. And all the guys at Chadwick Bay Ross in Concord, New Hampshire, they hooked me up. They gave me insight, problems, things I need to do, things to check, parts. I bought all my parts from them. I mean, you can go somewhere else and, find stuff cheaper, but I mean, it's right down the road and you're supporting your local dealer. I highly recommend those guys, but big shout out to them. If you guys have any more questions, we got a group going on Facebook. You can definitely check it out. Just search up Trackless, Bombardier, Prinoth. You'll find us.